Hello everyone. Today I'm going to talk about the calculation of overtime for California non-exempt employees. So there was recently a case in Supreme Court. The case was Alvarado versus Dart Container Corp. In that case, brought a new way of calculating the overtime whenever the employee receives a non-discretionary bonus along with the regular pay. So let's get into the details. So first of all, in order to understand this whole concept, we should know what is the difference between discretionary bonus and non-discretionary bonus. For the bonus to be considered discretionary, it should be awarded at the sole discretion of the employer rather than expected to be received by the employees. A discretionary bonus is a form of a variable pay. The amount, requirements, timing, and announcement of the bonus should not be disclosed in advance, as this may appear to be a motivator or incentive, implying that meeting certain levels would guarantee a bonus or a reward. A non-discretionary bonus is opposite to discretionary one. The employer predetermines the specific criteria that is required to receive a bonus, and employees expect to earn this bonus if that criteria is met. So this overtime calculation for California non-exempt employees is for the non-discretionary bonus. Whenever the employee receives non-discretionary bonus, this calculation should be used. So when is overtime paid to non-exempt California employees? Let's look at the basic rules first. In California, the non-exempt employees get overtime pay by two rates. So first is at the rate of 1.5, and they also get the double overtime. But let's see when they get paid at 1.5 time the regular rate and when they get paid at the double rate. So first we will talk about 1.5 times. When will they get the 1.5 time rates? In California, non-exempt employees must be paid 1.5 times their regular rate of pay for hours worked in excess of 8 in a workday. So any hours that are more than 8 in one day, that will be paid by 1.5 overtime rate. More than 40 hours in a work week. Overtime can also be calculated on weekly basis, and any hours that are more than 40 hours a week will be paid at 1.5 time overtime rate. Now, the employer will use either the daily calculation of overtime or the weekly calculation of overtime, but he will give the overtime where the employee will get more money, which is more favorable to the employee. So it's not that they will get daily overtime and they will get weekly overtime. They will get only one overtime, either calculated on daily basis or weekly basis. But the that overtime will be applied, that will give the employee more money. So the third one is for the first 8 hours of work performed on the 7th consecutive work day in a single work week. Okay, so if the employee works for 7 days consecutively, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, so any hours that are worked on the 7th day will be paid at the rate of 1.5. Now keep in mind, the employee might have worked less than 8 hours in the in the previous days, the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, he might have less than 8 hours. He might have worked only 3 hours, 2 hours. But if he also worked on the 7th day, any hours that are worked will be at the rate of 1.5 on the 7th day. Okay. Now this is for 1.5 overtime rate. Now let's talk about the double overtime. The California non-exempt employees must also get double their regular rate of pay for all hours worked in excess of 12 hours in any workday. Okay, so if they work more than 8 hours but less than or equal to 12 hours, they should be paid at the rate of 1.5. But if they work more than 12 hours in one day, so anything more than 12 hours will be double overtime. And then 8 hours on the 7th consecutive workday in a work week. Okay, so we talked about the 7th consecutive workday. So the 7th consecutive workday, anything below 8 will be at 1.5. Anything above 8 hours will be double overtime. Okay. So these are the rules for the overtime calculation. Now let's talk about how to determine the regular rate in case the employee received a non-discretionary bonus. Just keep in mind that this overtime calculation is only used when a non-discretionary bonus is paid. To calculate the overtime, you must calculate an employee's regular pay first. Okay, so if the employee earns an hourly wage, that's the employee's regular rate of pay. Okay, if you earn an hourly wage plus other things like shift differentials, like flat sum bonus, or any other hourly based compensation, your regular rate of pay should include such compensation. For the purpose of determining an employee's regular rate of pay, employers must not only include hourly wages but also non-discretionary bonus and certain other types of compensation. The regular rate of pay can change each pay period based on if the employee is getting differential shift differentials or bonuses, things like that. Most of the bonuses are considered to be non-discretionary, including those based on hours worked, production, or proficiency. Discretionary bonus, those completely in control of the employer, are not calculated in the employee's regular rate of pay. If you earn a salary but you're still non-exempt, the regular rate of pay should be calculated like this. First, you will multiply your monthly salary by 12 months and then you will get the yearly salary. Then you will divide that yearly salary by 52 weeks to get your weekly salary. And then you will divide that weekly salary by 40 hours, which are 40 hours per week. And you will get your hourly rate of pay. So if you earn more than one rate, your employer should use a weighted average to determine your regular pay. So the main point of all this is that if the employee receives a non-discretionary bonus, his regular rate of pay will change. And because the regular rate of pay will change, the overtime rate will also change. So below we are going to talk about how to calculate this overtime and the regular rate of pay in case the employee receives a flat sum bonus. So here is an example. The employee worked 50 hours in a work week. let's say out of those 50 hours, 35 were the regular hours and 15 hours were overtime hours. It can happen, right? If the in California, it's not that the employee have to have overtime only when it's more than 40. They can have daily overtime calculation also. So in this case, we assume that there are 35 regular hours and 15 overtime hours, and the employee's regular rate of pay is $10. So that's his hourly rate. The employee gets a flat bonus of $100. So first we will see how the federal way of calculating the overtime when the bonus is paid. The federal way will give you a different amount than the California calculation. So it's important that you know both of them. The federal will usually end up giving less money, and California overtime calculation will give you a little more money. So we will use the one that is favorable to the employee. So let's see how the federal calculation is done. So first step is that you add straight time hourly wages for all hours worked and the bonus to determine total state time compensation. So total hours worked are 50, right? Total all hours worked are 50. Regular rate is $10. So 50 times 10 is 500. Plus you will add the $100 bonus. So your regular total compensation is $600. Okay. And now step 2 is that you divide the regular compensation by total hours worked. So your regular compensation along with the bonus is $600, and you divide it by the 50 hours worked, and you get the rate of $12. Now this is the rate that will be used to calculate the overtime premium. So in step 3, you will calculate the overtime premium. Because in step 1, we have already calculated all the hours worked with the regular rate, which is the straight time earnings. So in step 3, we are only calculating the premium amount for the 15 overtime hours. And the rate that we are going to use is the rate that we calculated in step 2. Which is 600, the earnings, divided by total hours worked, $12. So 15 hours overtime times 12, the rate that we calculated in step 2 right here, and times 0.5, only premium, it gives you $90. You will add those $90 in 600, and your total earnings for the period are $690. So this is the federal way. So remember, in federal calculation, the employee will get $690. Okay. Now let's see how it's done in California. Same example. Employee worked 50 hours in a work week. Out of 50, 15 were overtime hours and 35 were the regular hours. Employee's regular rate is $10, and the employee gets a flat bonus of $100. Step 1. You know that the regular rate is $10, so the overtime rate will be $15. Okay. You will divide the flat bonus with regular hours worked. This is important. Divide the flat bonus amount with the regular hours worked. So regular hour worked are 35 hours. So we will divide the $100 with 35 hours, and we will get the bonus regular rate $2.85. Okay, and then we will calculate the bonus overtime rate, which is the 2.85 times 1.5 4 is equal to 4.28. So we got the bonus overtime rate also. Now you will calculate the total overtime rate. Total overtime rate will be the 15 overtime rate, the 15 regular overtime rate, and the bonus overtime rate. You will add both of them. So this will be the rate that you will use to calculate the overtime earnings. Now in step 2, you will calculate the total earnings. 35 hours, that are the regular hours, times the original regular rate, $10, it will give you $350. Okay, and then you will add the bonus $600. Then you will separately calculate the overtime earnings. 15 hours times 19.29 is equal to 289.35. You will add all these together and you come up to the earnings of 739.35. So you see the difference. The California calculation gives you a little bit more money than the federal calculation. The main difference to notice here is that when you do the California overtime calculation, you calculate the overtime at 1.5, and when you do the federal, you calculate everything with the regular rate, and then you pay the premium with 0.5 overtime separately. Okay, so that takes into account 0.5, and the California takes into account 1.5 overtime. If there is a double time also involved, then you will also calculate the bonus double overtime rate, and then you will add that into the total double overtime rate. Okay, I hope this helps, and please use the California overtime calculation whenever there is a non-discretionary bonus involved. Otherwise, your calculations will not be in compliance with the California payroll laws. Thank you for watching.